Well, today I want to give you an update on cash discounting, surcharging, and Clover, and this ongoing saga that I've been talking about for, it seems like, forever now in our industry. It's a really, really big deal because there's a lot of profit at stake. There's a lot of submissions at stake. I talked maybe, I don't even know, 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, about the Visa bulletin that came out basically calling cash discounting not in compliance with Visa rules. If you don't know about that, go to ccsalespro.com and scroll down. I did a podcast and a video about the Visa bulletin. And so you can check that out. Well, for the last few weeks, since that all came out, I've really just kind of been talking to people and trying to evaluate what's going on, right? Is cash discounting going away? Is it all surcharging now? We talked to Jonathan Rossi, the CEO of CardX, recently about surcharging on the podcast. And so today I want to share with you a couple things, really three things that I now am ready to make my kind of predictions about what's going to happen moving forward. So number one prediction is that cash discounting in its current state will be around for at least 6 months, if not longer. So that's my prediction. That's my opinion. Could work out differently, but I've really been pleasantly surprised, if not shocked, that all of the big acquirers and everybody, they haven't folded. They've pretty much just been business as usual. The Visa bulletin came out. It was a hot topic. It was discussed. It was talked about, and the consensus seems to be, okay, Visa, let's see how serious you are. Let's wait for you to do something else. Let's see if you're going to take action. Are you going to, sue somebody? Are you going to, do whatever? And so really, I feel like the ball is still in Visa's court. I think everybody collectively in the industry was kind of like, okay, cool. You sent out a bulletin that, frankly, in my personal opinion, didn't make any sense. You said it was fine for fuel stations to do cash discounting, but not a retail store. And so, it was really kind of arbitrary. And so the kind of general consensus in the industry was, okay, let's see what do you mean by, consequences? Let's find out. And so that's a really, really good thing in my opinion, because I'm all about the freedom of the merchant to do whatever the merchant wants to do. So my first prediction is that cash discounting in its current state will continue for at least 6 months, if not longer. And by the way, kind of a second note to that, I had made a video prior to this about how Clover had taken these apps out of the app marketplace that were non-compliant with cash discounting. Now those apps are back in. At least two of them are. I think there's one that still isn't, but there was 3 apps they took down. 2 of them are now back. So you can do cash discounting through the Clover system. As of the time of this video, things are changing rapidly, but as of right now, you can use cash discounting with Clover. And even during the time where they didn't have the apps, you could actually just call Clover tech support directly, and they would help you implement a discount / service fee. So, it seems like a lot of bluster without really much action behind it from everybody in the industry. I think it was a lot of, everybody wanted to cover themselves and be able to say that they did what they could do to be compliant, and they took action, and Visa wanted to put a bulletin out to clarify their position, and all the acquirers wanted Visa to clarify their position, but it was like everybody just wanted to clarify their position. Nobody really wanted to do anything. So it's all still moving forward. So that's my first prediction. My second prediction, I still believe that somewhere between 24 to 36 months from today, it will all be surcharging, okay? Now, for those of you that don't know the difference between the two, it's really important, okay? Because cash discounting, there's a service fee that's added on to all the check and credit card transactions, like all the card transactions that are not cash. So a cash discount says, we're raising our regular price by, 3.99% or whatever, which is on everything. And then if you pay cash, we waive that fee and give you a discount. So the net effect of that is that consumers pay more for their purchase if they pay with a credit card or a check card or a debit card or anything that's not cash. Surcharging is very different because surcharging is just saying it's not a discount. We are adding something onto the order. But with surcharging, there is regulation and all this stuff that's come down the pike. And so with surcharging, you can only add a fee to a credit card transaction. You cannot add a surcharge to a debit card or a check card. Okay. So everybody in the industry I've talked to is kind of like, we'll see what happens next, right? With cash discounting. And as we all know, these things move very slowly. I've been talking about this for a long time. And if you remember, if you go back a year and look at my videos, I said Visa's going to come out with something. They're going to declare war on cash discounting, and then it's going to take a while, and then maybe they're going to file a lawsuit, and then, and so that's how it's playing out. It's taking a while to play out. And the acquirers and the processors and ISOs are all kind of standing their ground, which is awesome. And now we have kind of a waiting game to see what happens next. But everybody I've talked to is kind of like, yeah, but Visa is going to eventually take action. Surcharging, once it becomes legal in all 50 states, there are some things that are happening. So what are kind of some action steps you could take away from this? Number one is, if you're selling cash discounting, my personal advice, not as an attorney, not as a legal expert, but my personal opinion, is to keep selling cash discounting. Just keep selling it if that's what you're doing. Why? Because you're going to get a lot of new merchant relationships. Maybe down the line in a year or 18 months or 6 months or whatever, maybe you do have to switch them to surcharging because of, hey, Visa took this particular action or whatever, and we have to move you over to surcharging. And if you do, you do. Now, instead of saving them 97%, you're going to save them 65%. It's still a big savings for the merchant. It's still a big win. But, my personal opinion, and I even expressed this to Jonathan Razi, was when we were talking to him, was, why would you do a surcharge when you could do a cash discount and save them much more money? It's easier to make that sale. He had some good counter arguments to it. And so, my thought would be sell the cash discounting if that's what you're doing. But I would definitely be working on my surcharge, kind of my fallback, right? Like I might want to fall back to surcharging. I want to have a good plan B in place. And again, continue to follow surcharging and see what's happening with it. Because as legislation changes, once it's legal in all 50 states, that's going to be a big deal, because if, Home Depot and Lowe's and, I don't see Home Depot ever implementing cash discounting. I do see Home Depot implementing surcharging because it's legal. Once it is legal in all 50 states, which it's getting really close, I see them implementing that. And once you have some big names doing it, the merchants are going to want to follow suit and do the same thing, the smaller merchants. So my advice is, again, my predictions, cash discounting in its current state is going to keep moving forward for 6 months, at least, maybe even closer to a year or 2 years. Somewhere between 24 to 36 months from now, somewhere in that time frame, I believe that everything will then be surcharging and not cash discounting. So you want to have that set up. And then also keep in mind that Clover, the cash discount apps, are back. So you can still do cash discounting on Clover. So just want to clarify a few things from my earlier video and talk a little about the future. I'd love to hear your opinion in the comments below. What do you think is going to happen with cash discounting and surcharging? Let me know in the comments below. Have an awesome day.